kiss and hug me. Come on, strong, go on and love me. Let's not waste that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say if you want to be more than friends.
Welcome, everybody, to a Social Web Cafe TV interview. Today we have our special guest, Kavita Chintapalli. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking with you.
Now, I first, let's see, did I meet you? I think you popped into one of our Twitter chats.
Yeah.
And I visited your website.
Someone I follow was tweeting about it, and it looked really interesting, so I decided to kind of pop in.
Cool. I'm glad you did, because I was very fascinated. It's not often that I go to a website and go, wow, this is really good. And actually, the design was really good too, but I was fascinated by your experience as far as now your title that you were using on your website, digital media content producer, was that the title? And since then, you actually have a new title with a new company. You want to tell us a little bit about what it is that Kavita does?
Sure. Well, I've had a bunch of internships. Most of my experience is internship-based, so most of my titles are fairly short, so they keep changing around. So my latest internship, I started last March with a company called Movoli. They're a startup social media firm based in New York City, and I started out as an intern creating content for the website. I continued with that through the summer. I also added an advisory role to my resume, and now I'm kind of transitioning into a full-time position, managing content creation for the site. So we're in the process of hiring content creators, and I'll basically be overseeing all of them.
Excellent. That's a great move. Congratulations on the new position.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Well, and it sounds like with all the internships, you really have a varied portfolio and resume, which will help you not just at this company, but in gaining more and more responsibilities and really moving forward in your career.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's kind of my philosophy on throwing yourself out there into new experiences and just learning. I was an MBA student. I just graduated. I don't know if I can say just because I graduated in December.
That's close.
Okay, thanks. So I've kind of been a lifelong student. I mean, from grade school to, post-grad, that's quite a bit of education. So I'm always, looking to learn and looking to kind of throw myself into new experiences. And that's what an internship basically is, isn't it? You kind of throw yourself into a new job. You might not have as much experience as a full-time person. So many job titles or job positions require you to have 3 to 5 years of experience. And obviously, as interns, we don't have that. So it's basically on-the-job training. Classroom training only takes you so far. And I really loved my internships because, like you said, I got experience in a bunch of different areas, like market research. I did a lot of surveying at my school. I went to Rutgers in New Jersey. So as an undergrad, I surveyed, anywhere from 60 to 75 students a week. It was part of AT&T's College Influencer program. Yeah, that was an interesting internship because I'm kind of shy, especially around new people. So the thought of surveying 60 strangers a week was really baffling, and I'm not even sure what possessed me to apply. It was kind of a whim. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And I got called for an interview, and, one thing led to another, and they offered me the position, and I actually flourished. And I got really comfortable with talking to complete strangers and, asking them to fill out a survey, asking them, what they thought about their wireless service. It was really interesting. So I think that's the great part about internships. You never know where it'll lead. My internship with Movoli was supposed to be an 8-week internship from March to April. And it's, 6 months later, I'm still here for the foreseeable future. Yeah. So,
that's excellent.
Yeah, I had no idea this would happen. So that's kind of my advice to everyone. Just take it as it comes. Don't be afraid.
I love that story you told as far as interviewing the people. That must have really helped in your development, personal development and business development.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing that I learned. just how to talk to, strangers. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I think a lot of people have that problem. It kind of goes along with fear of public speaking. So I think just kind of throwing yourself out there. I mean, you probably will have your flusters and, you'll trip a little bit over yourself in the beginning. I know my first couple of weeks as an intern were fairly tough, but you kind of, find your groove and you find your own personal style. So just hang in there.
I like that. That's very encouraging. I wasn't laughing at you, Kavita. I was laughing because I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum as far as talking to strangers. I'll get that look like, you're one crazy lady. Are you really, are you really talking to us? So, we all have different gifts and different spectrums. So I can really appreciate hearing from your perspective and how that helped you.
Yeah, it definitely helped me come out of my shell.
Excellent. Now, okay, I'm thinking encouraging people that may be watching this and listening to this as far as in that position, looking for maybe their first job, and maybe they're feeling a little frustrated because they're not finding a good fit, or, like you had gone through the whole master's. I mean, a lot of education is like, where do I find the spot where I fit?
Right.
And this internship concept sounds really actually encouraging if people can look at it as adding to their resume. Now, have you found when you interview with companies or talk to companies that they value that internship enough, as if it's like real world salaried position, that they realize that that's experience?
Yeah, definitely. People were also impressed with school projects and class projects and things of that nature, and of course the degree, but that only takes you so far because you're learning from a textbook or a professor who's probably been in the field, especially in terms of the MBA. Most of our professors are out there in the real world working 9 to 5, and then they teach at night. So that's great. And I'm not, saying anything bad about going back to school because that's fantastic. But I think there's nothing that beats, getting out there and doing the job. You might know how to do it in theory, and that's great, but to actually put your skills to use, even in an internship or some sort of volunteer work, I think that's another great alternative. If you can't find an internship, maybe volunteer at a local organization, kind of put your skills to use. And I think employers really like that.
That's excellent. And I didn't foresee this when I set up, to chat with you, but I've been talking to my co-host on the Marketing Momentum, Charles, and he has this, let me make sure I get this program right, Taking Your Talents to Main Street program. And that's the concept, is going out and, great if you can get a job and actually be doing it, but if you can't, like you said, the internship and the volunteer, and to be able to go to the next company and say, provide metrics to say, this is what I did, here's my portfolio, this is what I did for this company, I can do this for you. Exactly.
People like seeing the tangible results. And if you can't put it into numbers, you can, like I have on my website, you can show, visuals of what you've done. Because it's one thing to say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, but it's another thing to show them, hey, I did this, and here's a video of something that I did, or, a graphic, or, whatever it may be. I think we respond to visuals so much more than, plain text or even auditory. So I think visuals are the way to go.
And that's kind of your expertise. I think that's how we first met, as far, talking beyond the Twitter chat as far as the digital content. And how would you differentiate that for people that are maybe, for instance, new to the internet? I'm trying to think, is anyone new to the internet world beyond being born? Right now, but I mean, not used as far as content creation versus the digital content, because, to some extent, even the text is digital. So how would you explain, like, the differentiation of maybe somebody specializing in one area versus another as far as content creation?
I think what we're seeing now, and I think this trend is going to continue into the future, is that all the different mediums are kind of blending together. Like you have your text, your video, pictures, but now they're kind of all coming together. So you could have, for instance, a blog post. Traditionally, that's text. But you can also include graphics into it. You can include a YouTube video, and you can kind of meld all these different things together. Or you can have a video blog on YouTube. You could do a tutorial or whatever it is, and then you can have an accompanying text blog post or a Pinterest pin. So I think that's the best way to kind of engage and get to people, especially because I might respond better to video, but you might respond better to text. We're all different learners. We have different personal preferences. So if you put out the same basic content in different forms and tailor it to that specific form. I think that's the best way to get a wide range of audiences.
It's funny you say that because I was doing an interview, and a friend of mine, she says, you put out the posts that have everything for your Twitter chats. Like you've got a summary, you've got a video, you've got the archive, you've got, and I said, yeah, and I didn't realize that, Kavita, until you were describing that I naturally am just putting a lot of different content on one really big, long blog post so that if you are drawn to this, like if you like a Storify archive, you have it.
Right.
If you want a video, if there's a video available and so forth. So, and you're right, I've seen that more and more where people are actually hitting the different needs of the learners and the viewers and the audience.
Yeah, I've seen that on your website. I really like that.
Oh, thank you.
I personally
You're so
like
sweet.
thanks. I personally like all kinds of different mediums. I like reading. I like writing. I also like videos and pictures. I mean, who doesn't love a flashy graphic as long as it has good information? So I like, the melding of all of it.
That's a good point. I tend to lean towards the audio because I'm doing 100 things at one time, so I like to be able to listen while I'm doing it. But I have to realize that if I do just what I like, there might be somebody that actually wants to sit back with a cup of tea and watch the video. So to be able to provide it in different formats, that's excellent. Now
Thank you to think about it from your reader's perspective or your listener's perspective. I think sometimes we get too bogged down in what we like, and we kind of forget the point of what we're doing is to provide, information or products, etc., for customers or viewers.
So true. And with your role in Movoli, did I say that right? Movoli.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Working on linguist skills and
I'm giving you all the tough words.
Exactly. Now you have there's like multiple or different kinds of content that you have with that role. You were explaining a little bit, and I don't recall all of it, which is I'm so glad we have the expert here. Being in charge of that content as far as your event. It's very unique what the company is doing and your role in the company.
Right. So like I said, it's a startup social media firm based in New York City. And basically what it is it centers around events. We're bringing people together around events like sporting events, music concerts, performing arts. There are various subcategories under these three umbrellas. And basically each event would have different pictures and videos. There would be links to purchase tickets beforehand. You would be able to say that, yes, I'm going to the event in person, or I'm going to watch it on TV, or I'm not going, but I'm kind of following along. And you can share that to your Facebook, your Twitter account. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. On other social networks, if you want to tweet about, the Super Bowl, or if you want to go on Facebook and post about the Super Bowl, you could do that to your friends. There's no specific page where you could go to, voice your opinions or share your pictures or videos. There might be a page after the fact, but as far as I know, there isn't a specific page for, let's say the U.S. Open is coming up. So there's no Facebook page for, U.S. Open day one, session one, that you could go and, post your pictures and say, hey, I'm going, look at who I saw, standing in line. But Movoli has that. It's kind of your, again, one-stop shop where you can share all your comments and photos and pictures. And it's really great because it's so visual, like we were just talking about. People respond to visuals so well. And it's just this rich, high-quality media.
Excellent. Now, if let's say a brand actually puts up a Facebook event or a Facebook page, I don't know why you'd create a page for like one event and then pull it down, but let's say they did.
Exactly.
Would that be integrated into the Movoli platform as far as access to that? Would there be a link or pulling in comments and things from G+, Facebook, and so forth?
At this time, no. You can share anything from Movoli onto Facebook, but as far as I know, we don't have the capability to kind of pull it back.
Okay, so that makes sense. So it's the hub for that event. But
right.
It's not like it's restrictive where, you have to be like dedicated and this is all you can do, because now you can still take the content and share it back on your social links and your social profiles.
Yeah, especially because it's a new site. People might not be as familiar with it. So everyone has Facebook or Twitter. So if you could share it to those networks, hopefully your followers or friends will become interested and kind of head over to Movoli and check us
That'd be
out.
excellent. And would there be like a hashtag? Is it a Movoli hashtag for the event that people could watch on, say, Twitter?
Yeah, I think we are going to be using hashtags. No, it's not definitive yet. We're still in our pre-launch phase. So, but that's definitely something to.
I just got so excited I had to ask some geeky questions because
No, I love
Now-
the geeky questions.
Oh, good. Now, Kavita, you actually have a degree in psychology, is that correct?
I do, yeah.
Do
I
you
was
find that really
doubling-
helpful?
Yeah, I actually do. I started out with psychology. I took an AP course in high school, and that really got me interested in psych. And that was going to be my first major in college. And then I realized I have no idea what to do in a career in psychology, beyond going for my master's or doctorate, which I wasn't really interested in. So I looked into the business school and found marketing. And marketing is basically using psychology to figure out what people want, isn't it? So there's
I would agree.
so there's a lot of overlap between marketing and psychology, which I really liked. I like that it's still people-based. You get to figure out, what their preferences are, what they like, where they shop, how they shop, but you're still marketing something towards them. It has a business goal, which I like. So it's kind of the perfect blend of the tangible and intangible, if that makes sense.
Makes
And
sense.
that's what I really liked about it.
That's excellent. I've actually heard a lot more people. I'm going for a psychology degree too, so maybe that's
Oh,
why
that's great.
I'm a little interested on that. But see a lot more people that are combining that with especially marketing, and that makes sense to
Yeah.
really understand what do people respond to, like you said. That's great.
Yeah, it just seems like the perfect marriage. I was kind of surprised when I started looking into marketing at how psychology-based it was. So I kind of surprised myself there. But
Well,
it
and
all
since none
kind
of
of
us
fell together.
none of us can read each other's minds, so it seems like psychology is the best way to really use on a science level the research of how people respond to
Exactly.
say, we're not reading your mind. Nobody's like head shrinking you or anything like that. It's just we're using
Yeah.
patterns and things that are common to
Exactly.
human thinking and different behavioral types and learner types and so forth. So that's
Exactly.
really interesting.
Yeah, I think
So
people don't understand how much of it is overt or not overt based on their behavior. They might think they're being, all 007 and that they don't fit into a specific mold, but unfortunately, we kind of do to a certain extent fit into molds.
we really are not breaking any molds, or it's not like humanity now is really that different as far as humans go
Yeah,
than
yeah,
it was centuries ago. Maybe we didn't have the technology, but we're just
exactly.
we're just not that unique. We're just human beings.
Unfortunately, yeah. Not as cool
maybe-
as you like to make it sound.
Yeah, like we've evolved into some other, watching Star Trek or something, and now we're some
Yeah,
other.
exactly.
Exactly. Well, that's really, really interesting. I could talk to you for hours on just the psychology,
Same
but
here.
for the
Yeah.
sake of now, based on all this experience that you've had educationally, building your portfolio, and now with this new startup, what tips could you offer people in a similar position, especially those really on that helper mode, the people just starting out that have their
Okay.
education? Where do I go from here?
Don't stop learning. Just because you've graduated, that doesn't mean you know everything. I like to say that I don't know anything about anything, or I don't know everything about anything.
That's a
I'm
good way
not
to
an-
put it.
Yeah. So I love to learn new things. If you look at my website, I have a lot of different social media profiles and accounts. And before I graduated the MBA in December, I only had the Facebook and I had a very neglected Google Plus account. So that's basically what I spent 2013 doing, is building my web presence and building my social media presence. I knew that this is kind of the field that I wanted to enter, but then I realized I don't really have anything to show for it. I might know theoretically how, what needs to be done or what skills I need to have, but I didn't have any of the on-the-job experience, so I decided to kind of give it to myself. So I decided to,
Good for you.
thank you. So I decided to join Twitter. It was something that I was thinking about for a long time, but just didn't do for various reasons. But I finally did that and, started building a following, started participating in Twitter chats, which is where we met.
Yes.
And that really helped because you meet so many different people with a lot more experience than you might have, or different experience than you might have from all over the world. I mean, where else can you meet people from, Canada, Australia, and Pakistan all in one go?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I really love about it. So I've definitely grown my experience and my knowledge base and my network, just in terms of meeting new people and expanding your LinkedIn network as well as your Twitter network. I think Twitter is a great platform to do that. So, it basically, this is a really long answer to a really short question, but
That's okay.
but basically it just comes down to keep learning, figure out what skills are needed in your specific line of work or your specific industry. And if you're not sure exactly what you want to do, just try a bunch of different things. Maybe try job shadowing. That's something that I've heard a lot about. I've personally never tried, but I think if I had to do it all over again, that's probably something I would try out because it sounds like such a great opportunity to literally shadow someone in the job that you want to do or that you could do. And you can, kind of follow them around for a day or two and say, hey, I really like this aspect of your job, but maybe it's not for me.
That's an excellent idea. That's a whole nother interview right there. That's a great idea. Now, how do people find Kavita?
You can go to my website. It's a really long name, and I apologize for that. It's KavitaChintapalli.com. It's basically my whole name as one word. Kavita was already taken. So,
hey, you tried,
Yeah.
Excellent. And I'll include a link in the show notes so that people can go directly to your website. So and on your website, you have great links on all the social networks. I think I went through all of them and connected. So we're connected everywhere.
Great.
Well, thank you so much, Kavita, for joining us. You've given a lot of tips, and especially for people just starting in the job market. That is so exceptional. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Sure thing. And Kavita's one you'll want to watch. You saw it. Content Creation Manager at Movoli. You'll want to watch Kavita. Thanks all for tuning in.
Don't you want to kiss and hug me? Come on strong, go on and love me. Let's not waste that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say if you want to be more than friends. Got some love I'd like to make. Maybe you can squeeze me, I won't break. We could be in a paradise, you and me. Until then, I'll remind you again. Just say when. Oh yeah, until then, let me remind you again. Just say when. Oh baby, just say